Hi, you guys.
Hey,
Any brothers, what's up?
Nothing. What are you guys doing?
Hanging
dancing.
out in front of my
I know
computer.
you're dancing
Dancing.
in front of your computer on a day that is a fiery, hot, hellacious day here in beautiful southern
We're
Michigan.
everywhere.
I know. This summer has been so weird because it's been so cool and rainy. So it's weird, like, to have we haven't had a hot day in a while. So it's weird to, like, be part of this super hot day. It's,
That we have,
agree.
it's late August, and we're now we're getting some really. I mean, I know we had some in July, but now had that big, almost a month of, and all of a sudden, bang, it's
know.
back. Summer's back.
I know.
it's stupid and I hate it.
Me too.
I
wanted
have to
to
admit,
stop.
I'm not a big lover of summer. So
Me either. I used to love it. I loved it. I think we're all kind of, well, I was kind of trained, summer school ends and then you have summer and it's wonderful. And then fall comes and you dread it, not just because it's fall, but because school's starting. And now that there's none of that, I'm like, yeah, why did I enjoy summer? It's hot and messy. Like if I walk out of the grocery store like I did today and the first words out of my mouth are, fuck this. I know it's a hot day.
Mhm. I love summer so very much, and I try not to complain about it. Even when it's hot, I just try to like make sure I do things that are less sweat inducing. But I do love me some summer.
Okay.
that's nice,
Yeah.
Ann Brothers.
Mhm.
Ann Brothers, summer lover. You
Mhm.
might hear the sweet melodic tones of Chip Moehle. That's yes, we have our sister from another mister today. Chip Moehle is with us.
Hello.
He not a summer lover, but that's okay. That's all
Not a
right. So here we
summer
are
lover.
on a Sunday. This is my last Sunday before I got to go back to school.
I was going
So
to ask.
tomorrow's the
Wow.
day, man. Tomorrow
Oh,
now. I know. Bum, 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 to quote The Price is Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and so as we close out the summer, we've got this episode, and then we're doing our summer recap next week. That will be very exciting.
nice.
The beautiful summer recap. So we're going to talk about and I feel like this is long overdue because this season actually dropped and finished up back I don't know before even summer started. But we're just talking about it now, and that's okay because it's worth talking about. We're going to be talking about the show Hacks, HACKS, which is on Max, and it's just wrapped up season 3 here about 2 months ago. And so we're going to talk about that because it's worth talking about it, and it's one of those shows that a lot of people don't see, and I actually think it's one of the best shows on TV right now. But that's just me. I'm selfish about that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our stuff, and then we'll get to talking about all this stuff. All right, hang on. I got to do that, doing that, we're doing that, and there it is. All right, look, there he is. Hacks with our crack entertain. Not that he's smoking crack, that he is crack entertainment expert,
There we
Chip
go.
Moehle. That's right. So, Ann, you want to go ahead and kick us off for those of you that don't know us or what we do, because you might be a new listener, or you just love listening to this every week because Ann puts her Ann Brothers spin on our intro every week. So, Ann, take it away.
Alrighty, we're Ann and Janice Brothers. Our last name is Brothers, and we are sisters. Bam! I just blew your mind. You're welcome. All right, we're in our 50s, Gen X, which means we knew the joys of riding in a car without wearing seatbelts. In fact, my dad had a car that didn't have seatbelts.
Is it that Chevy?
Yeah, where we could stand up in the
Wow.
back seat. We could
Yeah,
stand up
that
on the floor, and our heads didn't hit the top. It was
that
amazing.
was one of those cars that was just like a fucking Land Cruiser. It was great, man. It was like a couch back there. It was like literally having your own couch in the back seat. It thing was massive. Yeah, I don't recall there ever being seatbelts. And it was joyous because you didn't worry about getting hurt. You're like, I'm not going to get hurt. I'm in this massive car.
Those
How
cars
can
were
we
so
get hurt?
big. You could like
Yeah.
drive them into a train and live.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally could. So yeah, so for all you millennials and Gen Zers and that had to be in car seats until you were like 10, Gen Xers, we didn't even use seatbelts because our parents figured, hey, they die, we'll make some more look almost like them. So
We were replaceable. Very replaceable.
So we had no value. We were not priceless. So anyway,
No,
so
and
no
that's not
seatbelts.
true. We had value. We cleaned, we
Oh,
dusted,
there
we
you go.
vacuumed, we did dishes, we gardened. We had tons of value. What are you
We had
talking about?
We painted the outside of the house. We built an
Totally.
addition.
I know. I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, where their parents never. Oh, you know what? It was Joe.
What?
They never had to clean. It's like, I know. They never cleaned. They didn't have to do dishes. I'm like, what?
What? In fact, people were like, I can't believe your parents don't have a dishwasher. And my dad's like, what do you mean? We got two.
Hey. Yeah,
Oh,
because you got
dear.
like X number of hours. Like you got like 2.5 hours of good cartoon watching on Saturday before it was cleaning time.
Before it
And
was cleaning time.
I hated dusting more than anything because remember mom had that little cubby with all the little tiny miniature vases in it that she
Oh,
got
dear.
like on one of those order things, order
It
now and
was
get all these Ming vases.
oh my gosh, what
And
was
then
it? It was oh, yeah, keep going. Mhm.
I can't think of what it was, but I hated having to because you had to not only did you have to take every fucking vase out and then dust every fucking vase, but then you had to dust every fucking cubby with it. I mean, that fucking cubby, sorry, I'm dropping the F word an awful lot, would take a half hour all by itself, you know?
God help you if you'd broken one of those valuable only to increase in valuable Ming vases.
We got him with a fill up with the car.
Oh, that's how we got all of our dishware. Maybe that was the grocery store. I can't remember. Or maybe it was Burger King. I don't know.
I don't know. Burger
Anyway.
King had some sweet glasses back in the day. That's all I know.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, sorry I
Anyway,
interrupted, but
I digress. All right, so we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, or any combination of the three. We are not cool, hip, or sexy because when we talk about rock, we mean geology, not music.
that is correct. And you know what? People make fun of me for that, but I just want you to know that the second best word in all of science is a geologic term, and that is the word schist. You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. We're not a celebrity, influencer, or true crime podcast. We're the after school special of podcasts. We will leave you with a hard learned but heartfelt lesson.
Yeah. Cool.
We are great to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff. Thanks, Chip, for that line. And because your summer is almost over and maybe you're a little sad, and we will cheer you up. So
That's right. We'll make
this
you less sad.
Exactly. This podcast is not G or PG or even PG-13, as you heard Jenny a few moments ago, because today we're talking with our entertainment expert, Chip Moehle. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and that I just showed the world how triggered I am from dusting tiny vases as a child.
Dusting tiny vases. Join us on our Join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Like us, follow us, hit the bell, leave us a review, and give us your feedback with our questions and answers and our polls. And please ask Alexa to play us. And if you ask nicely, she will. Even if you're rude, she will. She's cool like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm still triggered because half the time that I had to dust that stuff, there was no Swiffers yet, so I would end up dusting with like dad's old underwear.
Jenny, Franklin Mint. They were Franklin Mint.
Oh God, that's right.
Was it the Franklin Mint?
Yeah. So anyway, dusting tiny vases, Franklin Mint tiny vases with my dad's old underwear. Yay, Saturday!
Should we change today's topic?
Yeah, no kidding. Therapy, Jenny. What triggers Jenny? Chip, let's go. We have 30 seconds each. Just keep
tiny ring vases. Tiny ring vases.
No.
No tiny Ming vases.
Oh, that's
it would have been better if there. It would have been better if there would have been Swiffer back in the day, but there was no Swiffer yet, so it was horrible.
Did you
Okay.
have to use like a feather duster?
No, you would literally use like dad's old underwear with some polish on it, and then you would, take him out. And yeah, it was.
Okay, I'm going to pay for your therapy.
Whatever rags, we were raised by two parents who were raised by parents who were from the Depression era. So any piece of bit of cloth could never be thrown away. It had to be, smothered in Glad or some sort of wood polish so that you could use it to clean the rest of your things that you had acquired that were only guaranteed to increase in value. You better not break it.
I'll break it.
Alrighty then. So that's us.
Yes, that's right. Remember, you can support us for free. That's right. You can support this stimulating conversation for free. All you got to do is like us, follow us, subscribe, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Again, just follow, like, subscribe. Tell your people to follow and like and subscribe us as well. That's all you got to do. You don't have to spend a dime unless you want to spend a dime or a dollar. Hey, let's talk about the smart, dumb, fun stuff that we did this week. Chip, let's start with you. Smart, dumb, fun, go.
I saw Alien Romulus with my nephew last Sunday, and
Nice.
we had a great time. Like I was saying, podcast a few weeks ago, I had seen Aliens, the second one, with both of you at Colleen Kenny's house, and then Alien 3 we all saw together because we had gone over to Allen and then stayed at your house that night, and we all went and saw Alien 3. So I enjoyed it. I was very entertained. I thought I was going to be a big fraidy cat and was not. And then spent most of the time afterwards saying to my nephew, "Oh, that part that relates to part 1, and that part that relates to part 4." Like I'm some smart professor, and like he gave a shit, you know.
That's
But I had a great
Dr.
time. He
Chip
had a great
Moehle.
time. It's always fun going in the movies with my nephew. And then also I got dinner with Jenny this week, and we got a good catch up. So that was great fun.
That was incredibly great fun. Yeah, I was busy this week, man. It was fun. So much fun this week. Okay, I'm going to do my dumb thing. My dumb thing and fun thing was Demolition Derby this week. That's right. We went to the Chelsea Community Fair, which, as far as community fair goes, it was a pretty good one. They were having some troubles, though, because the city of Chelsea didn't have water that night, which was rough. But we still managed to get Demolition Derby. And I got to tell you, I didn't realize what they go through anymore to do Demolition Derby because there are so few cars anymore that are actually made of metal. So, they're all plastic and fiberglass. So and I got to tell you, it's shockingly addictive. Like, you don't think you're like, I'm just going to watch cars run into each other, but you get into it. And the best one by far was the minivans, man. That was toy watching a minivan go up against another minivan. One of the minivans didn't have reverse, so he had to keep risking his front end, which you never want to do, apparently, in a demolition derby. So
Was this the thing
there
that
you
has
go.
Truckosaurus?
No, that's like Monster Truck Rally. This
Okay.
is the one where you have cars that are so the way it works, Demolition Derby, it's pretty straightforward. There's about anywhere between, I don't know, 6 and say 12 cars kind of penned into this little cement area. And they basically work to run into each other until you literally have one car that's still moving. That's it. Then you're
Okay.
the winner and you get a trophy. That's it.
Okay.
It's super straightforward, and they basically run into each other until they're all done.
Okay.
It's
And it doesn't
stupid
sound fun. And then all of a sudden you're like, I love this.
fun.
It's like bumper cars with consequences. It's nice.
With real consequences.
Yeah. So that was Demolition Derby. So that was my fun thing. And what about you?
Well, I did a smart thing this week. I went out with my friend Annette, Annette May, who is a Cicerone. And if you'd like to go back into our archives of our podcast, you can hear an interview with Annette talking about beer. But anyway, we went out together. We went out to lunch, which consisted of each of us getting 3 scoops of ice cream from from Blank Slate in Ann Arbor. They have amazing ice cream. I'm slightly dairy intolerant, so it was delicious. And then I was sad.
Oh.
But anyway,
There is a price to pay.
price to pay. Anyway, after that, we went and walked around Ann Arbor, did a little shopping, but then we went to see the movie Sing Sing, which just came out. It's 2024, directed by Greg. And I will slaughter this, I'm sorry, Quidar. And it's based on the true story of John Divine G. Whitfield, who was falsely imprisoned for 25 years for manslaughter or homicide. And his time in the rehabilitation through the arts theater program at the Sing Sing prison. This was a beautiful, beautiful movie. Talk about getting the feels. It's a really great story about, men and what it is to be a man. I was really blown away by it. If this doesn't win Best Picture of the Year, I will be amazed. And then a lot of the actors that performed in this movie were actually inmates at Sing Sing prison and part of this theater program. So they actually were almost playing themselves. It was a great film. I can't wait to see it again. So and it was a really smart thing to do. And my friend Annette wanted to see it. She's quite the film buff. And so I was like, sure, I'll go see it with you. Why not? And I was really glad I did. So it was a really fun day with Annette, and I got to see this amazing film, and I highly recommend it. So there you go.
When I saw this
Okay.
on your slide this morning, I was excited because I listened to an interview with Coleman Domingo
Mhm.
this past week, and he talked about the movie, and I thought, oh, this sounds really fascinating. So I was so glad that, yeah, I get to hear about it from you.
Yes. Yeah. So it
Awesome.
is truly worth seeing. It will make you cry and there's, the thing is, like, you think, oh, this is just going to be a really sad movie. There's so much joy in this movie, so much beautiful joy in this movie. So you go between, I mean, literally go between these extremes, and it's not so much about the prison. It's about these men's lives who happen to be in prison. So
Wow.
it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it.
I'm looking
Ooh,
forward
put
to
that
it.
on your
Mhm.
list. Put it on your list for sure.
Mhm.
That sounds great. I'm
It
gonna have to
was.
look for that, see if it's playing at the KP cinemas, because that's my new go-to place because it's close
You what?
and I can walk there and stuff. So, all right, well, that's awesome. That does sound
Mhm.
smart and cool.
Mhm.
So, all right, good job, you guys. We got our smart, dumb fun. All right, shall we talk about what we came here to talk about, which is Hacks, which is a TV show, in case you're like, what is this? And Hacks, you guys, refers to a term that comedians use on each other when, you're like, you're not that good, you're just an old hack at something. And it can be comedians, it can be actors, it can be teachers, that sort of thing. It's not a nice term. It's not meant to be it's not a
Flattering.
kind term. No,
Mhm.
no, it's flattering, and that's what one of the characters calls the other early in the series. There you go. So, all
Mhm.
right, Anne, would you like to introduce the series?
I would. What is Hacks about? This show is about Deborah Vance, played by Jean Smart. She has been in the comedy business for decades. And I will put in this little thing. She kind of reminds you of like a Joan Rivers sort of character. So a woman who's been in comedy a super long time and is also really good, who's really got a head for business. So I'll just say that's how she's like Joan Rivers. She is problematic. We'll talk more about that later. Her agent, Jimmy Lusquois
Lusac.
Jr.
Lusac, Jimmy
Lucy.
Lusac Jr.
Oh, thanks, Jenny. Huh, who
You
would have
bet.
thought? Why do you have to have a Q in there? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with these people? Anyway, played by Paul
Hard
W.
K sounds are comedic.
Are they? Why? Because I sounded stupid saying it?
But
Anyway, Paul W. Downs, who's actually one of the show creators, convinces her, he plays her agent, and he convinces her to hire a comedy writer, Ava Daniels, played by Hannah Edbinder, to Eibinder, to freshen up her show. So we have this hack, as Deborah Vance is often referred to, and she is, by her agent, is convinced to hire this Gen Z writer who also comes with her own baggage. She is very talented, but has recently been canceled, and she is trying to get back on her feet. And then the shenanigans begin with these two very different women. But one thing they both have in common is they are extremely they want to succeed. That's very important to them. They're both extremely ambitious. That's the one thing they do have in common.
Well, and it's so fun because they're on completely, not just their age, they're on completely different. How they live their lives is so entirely foreign to the
Mhm.
other.
Mhm.
Neither understands the other in terms of how, like you said, Deborah is a grinder. Yes, she's a comedian, but she also has this, QVC empire. And she is up at 5 and she's reading the papers and she's looking at the financials and she's exercising and she does things herself and she, has just, and, you have Ava who, sleeps late and is always a mess. And, just like I said, just the other side of the spectrum. Her life is a mess. She's a mess. Everything around her is a mess. And so that's one of the reasons that I love watching this, is that you see this dynamic of these two very different people just in general. Uh, I'll do the facts about hacks. Is that okay?
Okay,
Excellent.
sure.
Okay. All right. So if you're looking for it, you're going to find it on Max, otherwise
Oh
formerly
my
known as
God.
HBO Max. I did that. That
That's
was for you,
Max on
Chip.
Max.
Hacks on Max. It premiered in 2021. It just wrapped up its 3rd season earlier in the year, like late spring, early summer. And so so like season 1, I believe, is 10 episodes, and then I think seasons 2 and 3 are either 8 or 9 episodes. I can't remember, but so you've got nearly 30 episodes to watch, and you will love all of it. Um, it runs anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes, depends on the week. So it's nice because you don't have to commit the full hour if you don't want to. Um, so again, Jean Smart plays Deborah Vance, Hannah Einbender plays Ava Daniels, and then there's another, just a whole plethora of rich cast members. So it's created by Lucia Anile, Paul Downs, and Jen Stasky. And I can't remember, Paul Downs is married to, I think he's married to
Lucia.
Lucia.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they're a couple, and just it's so much fun. One of the things I love about Max shows is that you get the show, you get scenes to next week. Who doesn't? You can tell we're Gen Z because we love scenes.
Exactly. Next on.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't, because, remember when you were a kid and you would like watch Little House and they were like, we can't go to bed now. We have to stay up for the scenes, for next
Yes.
week.
Yes.
Trying to put off bed just a few minutes
Just
more.
a little bit longer. But,
Well, it's that new carrot for next week. It's that new
Exactly.
carrot.
totally. And every time it's just like, oh, yay. So anyways, one of the things that's cool about Max is that you can watch the show, see the scenes for upcoming episodes, and then they have about a 5 to 6 minute kind of after where they talk about the episodes. And that's one of my favorite things about watching shows on Max is that they do this, and it gives you just a little bit more insight into the episode, into the writing. And it gives you a chance to kind of think what you think while thinking what they think, and so that's one of the reasons I love, and they do that for pretty much every show. Joe and I would do that obsessively for Game of Thrones as well when we were watching it, and I do that obsessively for this show because I'm so interested to hear about this writing team because I really love their work. It is funny. It can be very dark, and it goes places sometimes. And we'll talk about that and why you may not like Hacks. It goes places that are dark sometimes. It's okay.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's what is it? If you want to see the light, you got to know the dark or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chip, tell us why you like Hacks.
There's a number of reasons, but we got to start with Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder and their performances. They play so well off of each other. And, it's Jean Smart. I think we're all going to say that. It's Jean Smart. We've all known her at least since Designing Women. And through the years, she's done other work that's just been tremendous that I don't think gets as noticed. She was on the TV show Watchmen.
Oh, yes.
She was on 24. She was on Hawaii Five-0.
Mayor of Easttown.
Mayor of Easttown, yes. And then the thing I remember is after Designing Women was done, she went to Broadway with Nathan Lane, and they did, I think it was The Man Who Came to Dinner or something like that. And they filmed it for PBS, and she was fucking brilliant in that, So I've always been a big admirer of hers. So, of course, I watched it because of that. All the supporting characters and actors in this show are fun and interesting, and they've hired really good people. You can't throw a stick. We've got Kiki, who's the dealer. She deals the cards. She's hilarious. We've got Kayla, who's Jimmy's assistant, who's just off the wall crazy. And you've got Marcus, who's the very tied up gay man, and then what I love is her little assistant Marcus. I think not Marcus.
Damien,
who used to be on Ugly Betty. He was the young gay man on Ugly Betty, and he's hilarious. I love when they drive to Deborah's closet, which is a huge warehouse in the middle of the desert. And her dresser just kind of looks and her jaw drops, and Damien just goes, "Mm-hmm."
By the power of Grayskull.
But it's just, everybody has the woman who plays Josefina, her house. She used to be on the Gilmore Girls. She played the mechanic, but then when they brought it back, she also played the maid for the mother. And played the mechanic. She played 2 roles on Gilmore Girls, and she's hilarious because there's a running joke through the whole series where Jean Smart's character makes fun of Hannah Einbinder's hands on a consistent basis.
Oh yeah,
and
positively extraterrestrial.
Ava decides to set up some boundaries, and so Jean Smart texts her housekeeper and then makes her housekeeper say all the jokes about her hands.
I love that her housekeeper monitors Deborah's moods by the salt and pepper shakers and how
Yes.
they're set up
Yes.
in the cupboards.
Yes.
It's like, okay, have
It's
you
not
seen
good.
what she's done?
Yeah.
This is not good. The corns are not next to each other.
They're not near each other. Oh my God. She's, I mean, but that's the thing. Everybody in this show, and I would say honestly, the Paul W. Downs, who I enjoy now, but when you first start watching it, you think he's kind of the weakest link in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then you begin to discover why. He's following in his father's footsteps, and once he's kind of out of that, his character really begins to bloom and take on stuff. The world that this show occupies is gorgeous and phony in the way that entertainment is. It's primarily takes place in Vegas, also often takes place in Los Angeles. And I love how they skewer the entertainment industry. I love how big and opulent it looks and how kind of dated it looks. The comedy in it is not always easy, and it's not served to you like a sitcom. It's smart, dumb fun. I mean, it really is. There's times when it literally is, the comedy is very smart. There's times when it's very fun. There's times when it's very dumb. But you will find yourself laughing at the most strange moments. And one that I wrote down is, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. The girl that plays her daughter, Caitlin Olsen, who's just a brilliant comedian. Comedian. She has a line early on about, how as a young girl, instead of going to school, I'm doing my first line of Coke at the Chuckle Hut in Kalamazoo. And I just thought that was brilliant.
Yep.
When she was 13. She was 13.
Yep.
But so after 3 seasons, it's still interesting. Here's the other thing. A lot of shows by this point, especially now, even with shows that only have 8 to 10 episodes, by the 3rd season, you're kind of done with it. You'll still go along for the ride, but this one I think really has a promising 4th season. And part of me is hoping that's kind of it. Jenny and I were talking about this at dinner, and I don't know where they can go past this.
Right. I feel like this has to be the end.
Yeah, but maybe they can. I don't know. Sometimes, but it's that thing of popular shows. Sometimes the network forces you to go a little further with it. But I'm really looking forward to what they're going to give us this season, because we've had a point now where Ava has almost eclipsed Deborah in her self-involvement.
Agreed. Agreed.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I would have loved to have seen them just end it after this season. I thought the way that the season finale of season 3 ended was genius. And so I would have loved it if that would have been the end. But I could also love it because they gave themselves room to end right there, or they gave themselves room to do a season 4.
That's true. I was shocked by it. I had to go back and replay that little bit at the end, because I was like, because I then kept thinking, there's one more episode, right? There's another episode after this. It was like, no, buddy, you got to wait.
You gotta wait. But the student has become the master.
I love, like you mentioned, that there's a reference to Joan Rivers with this show. That again, we've got an elderly comedian who is of another generation, who's performing primarily in Vegas, who has QVC products that she hawks, and who has a daughter. But really, the comparison kind of ends there.
Exactly.
Yes.
And what I have to say is, Jean Smart, I don't know if she studied with comedians, but her delivery as a comedian is good. It's like, it doesn't sound like somebody trying to be a seasoned comedian.
No, you buy it. Hook, line, and sinker.
But I think what's amazing about the show is how almost everyone in the show is self-involved, and yet you like them. Like, I mean, I think of shows like Seinfeld, where everybody was self-involved, but I hated every one of those fucking characters. Like this one, I enjoy these people, and I want to see them succeed, because there is growth in this show, and that's what I like, and I want to see where that goes. But I'm finally, the last thing I wrote here was that Jean Smart finally gets her day in the sun. As I said, she's brilliant, and it's so nice to finally have her have something that's her own, that puts her on the front of magazines, that puts her in talk shows, and makes her a thing of beauty, which she is. Very
Yeah, she
talented.
just
talented
didn't she
woman.
just get nominated for another Emmy for this show?
Probably,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of feel bad for Hannah Einbinder. Because in the first season of the show, I thought, I don't know that I'm that impressed by Hannah Einbinder. But then I became much more so. And I thought it really is her credit that they play off each other so well. You know, they are separated by roughly 40 years. Ava's 27, and we know that Jean Smart's character is over 65.
Hmm.
And but they are essentially each other, just of their era.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Yep.
But they offer each other something to bring each other into a more central place. Anyway, I'm going to end there so y'all can talk.
Okay, well done. That's I
Thanks.
would say that was an excellent synopsis of why you like hacks. Yes. So I guess it's my turn. Why Janice, that's me, likes hacks.
Jeez.
Um, I find myself laughing out loud all the time in this show. And it's not that it's like fall down funny. There's just things that happen and lines. Like one of my favorite scenes is where it's in season 1, episode 2, where she goes back after Deborah gets whisked away by the helicopter and she leaves Ava in the desert to deal with her flat tire in the car. So she finally gets that dealt with, and she goes back to try and buy the pepper shaker. And the lengths that she will go to, that interaction between the shop owner and her is, to me, it's just so funny. Where she finally is just like is holding this vase up, threatening. She's like, "I'm going to give you this $10,000, or I'm going to break this." You know,
It's a Ming vase,
like,
Jenny. It's
Yeah.
a Ming vase.
it's a
Ooh,
Ming vase. Just
I
break
had to
it.
dust that. Probably got that
Son
from
of
the
a
Franklin
bitch.
Mint.
Yes, but it wasn't like 2 inches tall. Fuck me. Sorry. Anyway, and writing matters, and I say this all the time. Writing is the most important thing in a show or a movie, and it's one of those things like stars get all the credit. I'm like, they ain't do shit, and that's not fair. But honestly, I don't care how good an actor you are. If the writing is bad, you're gonna come off as bad. That's what I
Yeah.
love about shows that are well written. I just noticed this the other day. So like when we go back, it's the episode where I think it's the end of season 1. Ava's dad passes away, and Deborah comes to her funeral, and we see Ava's old room where she's, the cat now lives there, and she's, sleeping next to the cat box. But like, if you look at the posters in the back, it's all issues of Entertainment Weekly, and one of the covers is the cover Entertainment Weekly where Mean Girls are on the cover, and if like, of course she would like Mean Girls, and of course she would be worshiping Tina Fey, and of course, that these would be her heroes, and again because writing matters, and so the characters are complex and real. This is in our own ways. We're all self-centered and we're all self-centric and those sorts of things. So I think that's one of the things I like about watching those characters is that they're not that different than us. And there are just so many great characters to watch. And that's like I'm trying to think of the name of the actress that plays Marcus's mother's friend. I can't
Oh,
think Miss Lucille or Miss Lu. I can't think of her name, but again, just
with the
this
blonde.
awesome,
Mhm.
yes, this
So
awesome, just
funny.
tiny little character who just is hilarious. Um, everything that she says, she's just living her life, doing her thing. Marcus's mother is the greatest. I love her. She's so much
Yeah.
fun. All right, let me see what else. Fun to watch Deborah and Ava learn from each other, how they slowly but surely
Yes.
bridge this divide, not just of their age, but just of their entire experiences. It provides hope that we can change no matter what. That's one of the things I really like about this show, regardless of our circumstances, because neither character is particularly likable is the series. Deborah's kind of a monster. Ava's a different kind of monster, but no, or Ava's, a different kind of monster, but no less a monster. Let's see. It's fun to watch, especially an older woman reinvent herself because that can be harder to do as you get older for sure. And so it's fun to watch her gain. And part of it is that, as you get older, you start to maybe lack confidence that you did when you were younger because you know the consequences now of your decisions. They feel so much more monumental.
Yeah.
So watching her sort of reinvent herself with the encouragement of this young lady is it's cool to watch because she sees her what is it, the I don't know, like episode 2 of season 2, where she no longer she has that line where like, this isn't my town anymore. And so what does she do? She goes and she makes the entire world her town at the end of season 2. That's what we start season 3 and she's on top of the world. She's not she gambled on herself in order to, and she ends up not just, owning Vegas. She owns it all. And that's really one of the things that's really fun and cool to watch her take that chance and get paid off for it, so to speak. It hits me a little differently. I've now watched this all the way through twice, and it hits me a little differently with different viewings. And it reveals the lengths that women have to go through to succeed in spaces that are considered the territory of men. And that's one of the parts that's really hard to watch, is that, that's, in the very first episode where Ava's complaining that she doesn't know where the line is anymore, and that's why she's been canceled, and Deborah responds, well, there is no line. And, in that second episode, Prim, where she sends, Ava to go off and get the pepper shaker, talks about how it's never ending, that this will always be hard, that she is always going to have to be working from, now until the day she dies. And that's that attitude. That's why Deborah's so driven, is because she doesn't feel like she can ever just rest on her laurels, and she never does. So yeah, I just love the show, and I think it's awesome. It's smart. I love smart stuff. So there you go.
Agreed.
Anne?
Well, the reason why I like Hacks is, number one, Jean Smart. I watch stuff because Jean Smart is in it.
Yeah.
It's like there'll be something that's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, Jean Smart's in it. I'm gonna definitely give that a chance. So Jean Smart, she kills it. Damn. That's how I don't know what else to say. It has a kick-ass ensemble cast, and I mentioned some of them. Megan Statler, she plays Kayla Schaefer, and she plays the assistant.
Love her.
Yeah.
Love her so much. I mean, confidence. You usually only see this unearned confidence in white male characters. Nope, 100% unearned confidence. Just, oh man, taking charge, bulldozing everything. I love her so much. I'm so excited whenever I see her in a scene. I know I'm gonna love it. Of course, Paul W. Downs, he plays the agent Jimmy. Again, you're right. He wasn't necessarily. He was the least interesting character at first, but
That's a better way to put it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Christopher McDonald, who's been in a ton of things for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
He plays the owner of a casino. He is very funny. It's so fun to watch Deborah outsmart him. Carl Clemens Hopkins, he plays Marcus. He plays, I don't know, assistant business manager would probably be a better term for him. Again, the buttoned up gay guy. That's the thing about Deborah Vance, Jean Smart's character, is that Deborah works really, really hard, and she expects everybody in her orbit to work as hard as she does. And she's very generous with those people she thinks are worthy of her generosity. So that's this interesting character that, this characteristic that she has. And so everybody who loves her or wants to be around her works their freaking ass off for her. And Marcus is just another example of that. And this is reflected in her comedy. The person she is hardest on in her comedy is herself. Therefore, she feels it gives her the right to be hard on everybody else. And so her comedy before she meets Ava is dated in that, and how hard it is on people. It's not very, I don't want to say it's not very cerebral comedy, because she is picking the low-hanging fruit, this mean low-hanging fruit of comedy, but it's the same comedy she aims at herself. And like her work ethic, she works hard, everybody around her must work hard. Her comedy is hard on her, therefore she has the right to be hard on everybody else in her comedy. And that's the character of Deborah. And I really think that's an interesting, I just love how complicated that is. The show will make you think about comedy. what comedy means and how it has to evolve and why it still should be evolving. We're kind of in this debate right now. We have been for a couple of years of people being canceled in comedy because their comedy hasn't evolved and they don't understand why they can't just say what they want to say because it's art, instead of thinking about what they want to say and how to make it art. So, this show makes us think about that. There's two strong female leads in a complicated relationship. They're not competing over some boy. Oh, how refreshing! The sharp insight into what it is to be a successful woman in entertainment over an extended period of time. I mean, most people in entertainment do not have a long shelf life. Men seem to have a longer shelf life than women, but few people go decades. And so Deborah Vance has gone decades.
You have to remain fuckable.
Yeah, exactly. And Deborah Vance knows that. Her character knows that she has to remain fuckable. That's why she's trim and fit and not afraid to do the Botox or any other treatments or keep herself as fuckable as possible. The personal growth that takes place as the show develops. The humor is complicated and dark and sometimes absurd. Hollywood figured out that women over 50 should be in more television. At least they figured out with this show. And of course, they did figure it out with Veep as well. Talk about a show where you will not like any of the characters, and you never will.
And there's no growth.
And there's no growth. They're politicians. Of course, there's no growth. And of course, when it all comes down to it, this show will give you some feels. So, and I like that, So here you go. That's why Anne likes Hacks.
Well said, Ann
Nice,
Brothers.
nice.
Deep and awesome.
I love what you said about how this show will make you think of comedy. Like that didn't occur to me, but yes.
Well, and that's one of the things that it's easy for. We live in a time now where there are some, you see a lot of really great female comedians who are kind of getting their due and getting time, and we're seeing them. But, I think Tina Fey talks about it in Bossy Pants, was this idea that for the longest time, women weren't considered funny. She talks in her book about how Jerry Lewis was very vocal about the fact that, women just aren't funny. And, that's 100% not true. But and again, what the lengths that women have to go to that men don't have to go to in order to be seen and heard. So that's one of the things that this show, that's what Deborah understands, and that's what I think Ava takes a little bit for granted and doesn't know and understand. And as she's going through and digitizing all of Deborah's stuff, she's starting to realize and know and understand how remarkable this is, what she did at the time she was doing it and what she had to endure to get it. We learned that when was it episode season 1 late, the episode 1.69 million, where we start to learn of just how difficult it was at her age to become who she became. So yeah, for reals. Let's go ahead and talk about our favorite episodes, shall we? Oh wait, here it is. Anne, you want to talk about why you might not like Hacks?
Oh, sure. For me, there was no reason as not to like Hacks. As far as I was concerned, there's absolutely no reasons. Now, having said that, if you like a show where the characters are likable, you might not like Hacks. There's a lot of self-growth in this show, but none of the characters, they're all very self-centered, which I don't know, having not really been in the entertainment industry, it seems like a very entertainment thing. It seems like you are so used to disappointment, not getting a role, not getting whatever, that you almost have to be self-centered just to protect yourself. So all the characters in the show are pretty self-centered. Our two main characters are very self-centered. They are ambitious. Some people don't like that in female characters, but they're remarkably ambitious, which again, if you're going to put yourself out in that sort of situation, you've got to be very ambitious. Deborah Vance is not a good mother. Man, she was a shitty mother. And as you go through the show and you get to know her daughter more, you're amazed that her daughter turned out as well as she did, because though Deborah loves her daughter very much, being a comedian, being in the entertainment industry was her number one priority. She wanted her daughter to be safe and happy, but she was not about to be the person that made her daughter safe and happy. And some people might have a hard time watching that. A lot of the humor is very dark, and the first episode, there's an abortion joke. Deborah Vance is getting her own road named after her in Vegas, and she says something like, "Well, yeah, I'm getting my own road in Vegas. It's probably going to be a dead end with an abortion clinic on the corner." And I just, as soon as I heard that line within the first 4 minutes of the show, I knew I was going to love this show. But it's really, really dark, and if you're not into dark humor, you probably won't like that. As I said, many of the characters are self-involved, but they do grow. It can be hard to watch. Some of the humor is absurd. Some of the things that Ava gets herself into, it reminds me of a Lucille Ball episode as she tries to get herself out of them, the extreme she'll go to. And maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you like your comedy a little more straightforward. It can be cringy. It can be very cringy. So if you don't like cringy comedy, if you're more on the conservative side, there may be things you're not comfortable with. But as I think Chip, I don't know if this was Chip or Jenny, but encourage you to watch anyway. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. You might learn something. You might be like, oh, that's an interesting. Yeah, I'm like, get over it and enjoy something that is smart and funny and excellent. So
yeah, enjoy comedy about enjoy a show that's about people. You know, this is about really, you know,
this is America. Yeah, these are people.
It's America. These are people. In a way, these are all of us. You know, we're all trying to continue to grow. And so are these people. We have our own ambitions. We have our own unlikabilities. We have our own dark sides. They're just putting it on TV. We can hide ours better. So,
truth. All right. Favorite episodes. And you know, chime in here, you guys. My favorite episode is actually season 1. It's called New Eyes. I think it's like season 1, episode 6. It's where Ava Ava's in a spot because the episode before, she got super loaded up on drugs, met this guy. They had a one-night stand. He ends up killing himself at the end of the episode. But before that, he encourages her to quit her job.
It's a comedy.
Yes, that is correct. This is a comedy. And so the night before, though, when they're all coked up and high and into each other, he encourages her to quit her job. And so she leaves this horrible voicemail for Deborah. And so the next episode, New Eyes, is Deborah has lost her phone for a little while. So she didn't get a chance to hear the message because she's going to get plastic surgery on her eyes. She's getting new eyes. And so as a result of that, it buys Ava time to try to figure out how to unlock the phone to delete the message, which is in itself is hilarious. She ends up going to the wax museum and using the face recognition with the wax museum, which I love that she does that. Kiki comes up with that one for her. And B, I love her reaction where she does the cartwheel, does the splits and double flips her off.
Yes.
When it works.
But
then after she gets back and she wakes up, and then they have this really strong interaction as they have to take time to get to know each other as they're trying to work on this new material, or they haven't even gotten to the new material yet. And this is the episode where Ava starts to learn the truth about Deborah's life, things that she did not know, and encourages her to start writing about her real life, not this life that others kind of placed upon her. And that's where the show really starts to take a turn for me. And that's my favorite episode. So, Anne?
I think mine was the 1.69 million. Was that the one that I liked with the, I'm one of those people that I like to watch things more than one time. So I'll watch an episode and then I'll rewatch the episode a time or two before the next episode comes on, because I get a lot more, but Deborah's life, the life that she has built herself is so decadent isn't the right word, but she spares no expense for what she enjoys. And so she has a whole room where she keeps her Christmas decorations in her mansion, and it's huge. It's probably the size of my house, and it's all Christmas decorations. And Ava's talking on her cell phone to somebody. She's like, "Yeah, I'm in Deborah's Christmas room," and it's racist, but I can't figure out why. It's this generational thing. It's such a little microcosm of this show and this differences between these two women. That Deborah has this Christmas room with all of the vulgar, tacky Frankenmuth Christmas decorations that money can buy, and Ava probably doesn't know what day Christmas is on. So. She's trying to figure out how not to answer the phone for her mother so she doesn't have to tell her mother she's not coming home for Christmas. I mean, just there's so much of that. The juxtaposition between these two women, and that they really have nothing in common other than their gender and their ambition. But when it comes together, God, it's so freaking funny. So I just love that episode for that. And then, of
Well
course,
said.
Chip, I'll let you talk about the other ones. But yeah.
I liked season 2, The Click, which takes place in Nashville, and it's where we see Deborah's been toiling most of the season to change her act and isn't sure that it's working. And in this particular episode, it works because it's where she begins to believe in herself. And I love that. Just watching that transition and then watching her perform and everybody's response to it. And then also I love the hiking episode in season 3 because it was really weird. During season 2, a lot of the supporting players got sidelined for a good portion of the season. And then slowly in season 3, they were kind of brought back. But in this particular episode, it's just the two of them. They've gone out hiking, they don't have their phones, and they get lost. And both of them get injured. And they really have to rely on each other in a way that they haven't had to before. And it's very touching to watch. And you see at this point, because you've met Ava's mother, so you kind of know why Ava's the way she is and why she kind of reacts to Deborah the way that she does in many cases. But here you see them become closer, and it's very touching. It's very funny. And I just have to share one other joke that I loved when she goes, I think it's New Eyes, where they're mentioning something about she might have herpes or something. And then she goes, no, you don't have herpes. And Gene Smart says, oh God, a cold sore on top of filler is a nightmare. I love that line because it tells you a lot about her.
Right.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Yeah. So those were the episodes I enjoyed.
Yeah. And then I think like I said, the cool thing about this show is that you have 3 very strong seasons, and the end of season 3 is just killer. I think it's just great.
Totally. When you get the payoff of the Christmas room.
You do.
Yes,
You get the
you
payoff of the
totally
Christmas. We get
do.
to in season 3 we get to one of the complications of Deborah's life is that her husband left her for her sister, and so there's this, of course, this huge chasm between Deborah and her sister Kathy. And in the season 3, we finally get to spend time with Kathy because Deborah, through DJ's encouraged, DJ is her daughter, Deborah Jr., Deborah's daughter, encourages her to invite Kathy because she still has a relationship with Kathy, the daughter doesn't. She wants her there for Christmas. So Deborah finally bites the bullet and invites her for Christmas, and we see this really excellent Christmas episode. And we get to see everything in the Christmas room in its all of its glory. So
It's a very special Christmas episode.
it is, and it's actually it's a great episode because you finally get to see and hear Kathy's side of the story, and it's great. I really like that episode a lot, and it's you have this complex relationship. Because Deborah's ex-husband Frank has passed away. He dies early in season 1, and we start to learn more about that relationship. And yeah, it's complicated. It's good stuff. It really is. So yeah, there you go. That's it. Do you guys want to say anything more about this amazing show that you can find on Max, formerly known as HBO Max, formerly known as HBO?
Well, I'll just say a couple of, one thing is I love Deborah's physicality, the Gene Smart, the way she moves as Deborah. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's nothing that jumps out at you, but there's something about the way she walks, the way that she moves her hands. Everything is just, it's so marvelous. It's such an actorly thing. And the other thing is, and I probably shouldn't, they actually have a podcast starting with season 3. And it's the 3 producers, and then usually they have a guest star on, and they talk about the episode that just aired. And like you said, it's funny. HBO does a lot of that after show, let's go inside this thing. And most of them I don't like because they're very clearly telling you things that didn't make sense in the show. And I always feel like if you couldn't make that work in the show, why do you have to tell me afterwards? But that's not the case with this show.
Mhm.
With
Agreed.
this show,
Agreed.
it's very interesting, and the podcast is the same. It gives you more insight.
Well, and I what I love about it is that the idea of where the show came from, how it's developed. That's one of the things I love about it is just that this is how the sausage gets made, so to speak. And it's it's complicated. This show took years to get in development, and and I think it's awesome that HBO took a chance to make the show, and what they've made is genuinely amazing.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I can't recommend the show enough. I hope that
agreed.
people that see this will watch it. And even if what we've told you, you think, oh, I'm probably not going to like it, give it like at least 3 episodes. I
Yeah.
think, I think you will start to appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you're on the fence, give it a shout. There's so many just even moments where there's just a throwaway line at the end of the scene that
Mhm,
you'll suddenly find yourself like gut laughing at.
mhm, exactly.
Yes, yes. So. All right. Well, you've done it, everybody. You have spent another nearly an hour learning things about stuff. Today, you learned about the show Hacks on Max, formerly known as HBO Max, formerly known as HBO. That's right. And why you should watch it because it's amazing. So yeah. And you guys, we would love to hear from you. We would love for you to leave a review on any one of our streaming services. We want your questions, concerns, comments, and
Confessions.
confessions.
Ooh.
I
That's right.
know.
I know.
After you watch
Yeah, we
Hacks,
don't.
you'll have some.
You'll have some confessions. That's right. Your own moments of comedy. And remember, you can always support us for free. Like, subscribe, leave a review, ring the bell on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. And remember, Alexa knows our name. So
Hey,
there you go. You can.
Jenny, I was listening to another podcast earlier in the week, and they were talking about that most podcasts end after I think the 6th show, maybe it's the 4th, but most podcasts do not make it to 10 episodes. And most podcasts that make it to 20 episodes will continue for the next couple of years. So Jenny Brothers, we're doing
This
really
is our
great.
This is our
Excellent.
42nd episode, to be
Wow.
Yeah,
clear. This is
to be
episode number
clear.
42. And
Yeah.
actually, there's actually more than that because we have been doing this since 2020. But this is like we're in like our official podcast form now. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. So,
Yeah.
hey, you should make sure to join us next week. That's right. When we have our summer review. That's right, you guys. It's Labor Day weekend next weekend. It's the unofficial end of summer. And so we're going to review things we did, stuff we did, things we read, stuff we ate, and other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I emphasize stuff that we haven't talked about yet, just because there have been some stuff that I haven't talked about yet that I want to talk about, but we don't have to limit it to that. So
That's true. We do
Mhm.
not have to limit. We can do, whatever we want. I'm going to start our fun outro music and then I'm going to do the rest of our stuff. So here, wait. Can you still hear me? Because sometimes the music cuts me off. That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
I am Janice Brothers. With me is my sister
And brothers.
and our amazing sister from another mister, Chip Moehle.
Mwah.
That's right, you guys. We are out of here. Make sure you do something smart, do something dumb, or do something fun. Peace out.